What is up guys, Speed here, and today I'm bringing you guys the 7.21D gameplay update. I'm just going to be talking about what the most important changes are. You all can obviously read, at least I hope you can read, so I'm just going to talk about what I think personally are the most notable changes of the patch. Now before we hop into the main content of this video, I just want to let you guys know that you can check out guides just like this one, made by top tier pros, and have over thousands of different options over at gameleap.com. Now let's get into the main video. First off, the general change is massive. I can't stress enough how big of a deal this was. On Dire, you literally just couldn't pull. It was straight up impossible. Pulling through was harder than beating a Meepo with no AoE damage. Basically, playing Dire as a support was so miserable compared to Radiant, and now this actually makes Dire feel not too bad. The only real difference, or large notable difference, that I'm personally aware of is Roshan. Rosh is still favored for Radiant, as taking the safe lane tower gives you a lot more access to Roshan, where Dire does not, but still, overall, Dire, huge buff, definitely needed. Next up is Rod of Atos. Now, it got a 2-second increase to its cooldown. Basically, this item, you could use it way too much and from way too far away. Because the buildup is still so good, I believe this will be an incredible item still. The fact that you can build 2 crowns, which you can buy at the side shop, and then have all-around amazing stats, and provide a team with no stuns, which with a great setup stun, is just too hard to pass up. This item is incredible on some certain heroes, and they will continue buying it, for sure. One of the biggest buffs was actually the first hero change of the patch. Not only did Arc Warden get an agility gain, which is obviously great for the hero as it's a right clicker, but its Tempest double duration got increased very significantly. Obviously at level 1 and level 2, it might not seem that notable, but I would argue even at level 2, having 2 more seconds on Tempest double is the difference between not getting a kill or winning a fight. And 4 seconds at max is massive. 4 whole seconds. That is so significant. Any Arc Warden player will definitely recognize this and be super excited to see this change. Honestly, it often felt like right before you were about to get a kill as Arc Warden, you would fall a little bit short, your Tempest double would die when they were like 100 HP left, so 4 seconds is going to make the difference every single time. So the next up is Centaur. Centaur hasn't been seen too much lately, as all of his abilities have basically gotten nerfed. Everything's just gotten nerfed about Centaur, but he did receive a buff, 2 buffs actually. Double edge damage now increased, so maybe we'll be seeing people max this out again. It is only by 20%, but what's important to note is that it is much better at level 1. Which is what's mainly important about this. Also at level 20, he got a talent buff, 50 retaliate damage to 70. Not bad, just a solid change to help out the hero. Also another huge change is Chen. For any Chen players, you know how big of a deal this is. Obviously this hero isn't that popular, so I think a lot of people overlook Chen. But a 6-second difference on Divine Favor duration not only means that you have more damage for less time, but also less regen. And in lane, that was everything, right? You could just constantly have Divine Favor on yourself. Basically on a 6-second downtime overall at all levels. And now that is not the case, so you definitely have to max out the spell. You did before, but huge nerf to Chen's laning stage. One of the best late game nerfs, in addition with the Arc Warden, is Dragonite. Now his slow, when he has his ultimate maxed out, is 40%. That is more than Scotty. It's insane. Kiting BKB with this hero is easier than ever. It is definitely a late game menace, has some of the best late game talents in the game. And not only that, his talents got giga buffed. Every single level got a buff. Every single one. Level 10, 5%. Level 15, 50 health. Level 20, 30 GPM. Level 25, 0.25 seconds. And this is actually a big deal, the 0.25 in the late game. So overall, DK, a much better hero when it comes to scaling. Definitely more of a menace in the late game with this slow increase, 30 to 40%. Big deal. And all these talent changes just really help him scale. I think maybe we'll be seeing a little bit more Dragonite than we're used to. Next up is Earthshaker. Now, this is one of those changes that I think most players overlook, and that's armor. Armor is one of those things where if you don't really, it's really hard to see its impact sometimes, unless you're really paying attention to it. But for a hero like Earthshaker, this is huge. One way you could play Earthshaker is just buying boots and clarities and running around, but another way is actually abusing the fact that he's a melee hero and can buy a stout shield and trade fairly well. With 2 more armor, not only does this increase his laning stage as a support, but in my opinion makes him a lot more viable as a position 3 hero. I think he actually has pretty good matchups in the safe lane. He's quite good against heroes such as PA and Terrorblade, even decent against Troll. That matchup's obviously not great, but overall, this severely betters Earthshaker laning stage, which was a massive problem. In a lot of games, you just couldn't trade well. If you didn't have kill lanes, you felt useless. So having 2 extra armor, really awesome for this hero. Next up is Gyrocopter. Now, I don't think this is one of the bigger changes of the patch, but I want to note it because LGD actually has been picking this hero, and a base damage increase by 3 is very nice for a hero like Gyrocopter, who struggles last hitting. In addition, his level 10 talent got better, which means that he's even more of a menace in the early game. LGD was picking Gyrocopter as a snowball type of carry, where you could just fight early with something like a Death Prophet, and now it's even better in the early game. So next up on the list is Mars. I feel like I have to talk about Mars, and I expect him to actually get nerfed again in the following patch. But let's talk about what happened. So the Spear of Mars vision is now less. So if you throw it, you see less. Simple. God's Rebuke mana cost, this is probably one of the bigger ones, is 10 more mana at all levels. And for level 1, this definitely matters. The hero has mana problems as is. Definitely you already had to buy a wand or soul ring or mangoes, something to sustain your mana. So having a mana increase definitely hurts this hero. In addition, he got a talent nerf. Instead of it increasing to, I believe, a 4.3 second stun if I'm not mistaken, now it is 3.8 seconds. So quite a big nerf to the potential scaling of Mars, right? Also strength gain reduced, so these two in combination just make him quite a bit worse in the late game. Also, you can't really use Spear to scout nearly as well. So overall, I think it's still a menace, especially in the laning stage and when it gets its ultimate, but here, a few number changes here and there, definitely on the right road to balancing out Mars. Next up is Oracle. Oracle is easily a top support of 7.21C. 7.21D, I expect him to still be picked. However, False Promise cooldown got increased by 15 at all levels. Most notably, at level 3, it is now 45 seconds, not 30. With a 30-second cooldown, you could easily get 2 of these off in a fight, which would change fights completely. But now that it's 45 seconds, it's a lot less likely. False Promise mana cost was also increased. This wasn't, in my opinion, this isn't too big of a deal. You do spam a lot of spells, so it could come into play, where you just can't get your ultimate off. But less of a deal than the other two. And the biggest nerf to Oracle is that False Promise is now 700 at level 1 and 800 at level 2. Obviously still the same at level 3. One of the main strengths of Oracle was the sheer range that he could save people from. At level 6, from like across the map, you could literally be top lane on Oracle, your Pango's just getting dove under his tier 1 tower, and you're just like, skadoosh, I'm in the Roshan pit, your bottom tier 1 tower, it doesn't matter, I'm gonna Oracle ult you because the spell is ridiculous. But now, it's only 700 range, so you can only reach them from Roshan pit to mid lane. I hope you know I'm kidding. The point is that Oracle can't reach people from far away, which means certain situations where you got the save off, you will no longer. Also, Oracle is a hero that relies on great positioning not to get caught out, so any reduction in range really hurts the hero's innate survivability. Your positioning will be a lot worse, not because of you, but because of the hero's ability to cast spells from far away. Moving on to Pangolier. Pangolier was one of the best heroes of the patch, at least in my eyes, and now Lucky Shot can no longer apply both silence and disarm at the same time, meaning the spell is not nearly obnoxious or deadly as it used to be. Also, the chance got reduced, so in general, it's going to be a lot harder to get that reliable silence or that reliable disarm. In addition, Rolling Thunder mana cost was increased. I can't say I think this is a huge deal, but maybe you Pango players can let me know. I feel like you have enough mana as is. At least if you're going the Grease build, this shouldn't be a problem. Next up is Puck. So Puck was recently picked often as a Pangolier counterpick, and also what it can notably do is cancel something like a Jug Spin TP. But now Dream Coil no longer latches on spell immune units for non-Scepter version. So if you have Scepter, you still can do this. You can do all the things you could do in the last patch against Pango and Jug. However, now you can't without Axe. So basically, you're not nearly as much of a counter to Pangolier, but you did receive some talent changes. And instead of having 5 armor, you now can get 125 cast range, and instead of 10 intelligence, you can get 5 all stats. I think people will be taking the all stats. That might sound crazy, right, because Puck is a spellcaster, but it's also kind of like a pseudo right clicker, and it does well with a little bit of survivability, right? It can save the hero, it can be the difference. The cast range is great with Blink and Dream Coil. Dream Coil cast range is actually quite low, so I'm curious to see what people pick, because I really don't know. Personally, I'm thinking you take the stats, but it's a hard call. Next up, what I think is probably like a top 3 buff minimum is Sand King. Sand King's Sandstorm, previous to the nerf, when he was like super picked, like almost every single game it felt like, it was around 100 damage. I think it was 100 damage exactly. And now, instead of being 80, which is what it got nerfed to, it is 95. And 15 damage on something that ticks is huge, right? It's also better at levels 2 and 3, I meant to say, but it's also most notably 15 higher at level 4, which is such a big deal. Sandstorm is Sand King's main ability, to farm, to fight. It's basically the hero, at least how you play with aura items. So having the spell buffed, massive. Also, the Burrow Strike cast range previously also got nerfed, and now it's buffed again. So it seems like this hero is getting reverted back to the greatness in which it once was. Useless Silencer buff. Like, what is this? No one's gonna play him as core. Please don't encourage it. Okay, I kind of glanced over this one at first, the sniper change, when I was first reading this. Shrapnel replenish time is now 40 seconds. 40 seconds. That is so short. It was 55. Like, what, 2 patches ago? 1 patch ago? That's a 15-second cooldown reduction on a charge-based ability. That's madness. I definitely think this is a huge buff, and in games which Sniper seemed good when they had low catch for the backlines, I think he is a god now. This makes him a much better laner, a much better farmer, a much better fighter. In addition, he got this take aim active cooldown with a small buff. Not too big. You can basically use it more often in the laning stage to harass, which maybe is a bigger deal than I thought. Overall, huge sniper buff. Spirit Breaker, 1 second reduction, charge of darkness. Woo! You can charge more often. That's pretty good. Next up, the static remnant. Well, I should talk about intelligence actually. Storm Spirit, intelligence increase. That's always good for Storm. You know, the hero likes intelligence, so nice. Static remnant, damage increase. Better at max level, so definitely a reason to level it, even though it starts at 70 and goes up now, kind of like it used to. More of an incentive to level it, which is interesting, because it seemed like they were trying to go away from this, and like telling you to leave it at level 1. Seemingly not. However, Electric Vortex is now an incredible level 1 spell. Only 60 mana, it doesn't slow you, and its pull distance is 180. This is a good level 1 spell. It used to be one of the worst level 1 spells. Okay, you're not going to level it at level 1. Don't do that. Please still get Remnant. But I mean, like, the spell at level 1. Don't get it at level 1. But Electric Vortex at level 1, which you would probably level around level 4 earliest, maybe 3 if you're getting a kill, it's just good. It's solid. Alright, and the last change I want to talk about, even though Veno it's pretty tempting. Small Ags buff if you want to read it. But it's VIPER. So VIPER, even after its massive nerfs, has been changed, right? Agility nerf, so it scales worse, and Nether Toxin from 5 to 6. And this isn't massive, but for a hero that relies on Nether Toxin to not only do damage, but to farm. Basically, Nether Toxin is like Shrapnel for Sniper. If you don't have Shrapnel, the hero feels pretty mediocre. So every time you have to wait that extra second, VIPER feels mediocre. And in general, I think we're going to see less and less of VIPER. Because we've seen 2 nerfs in a row, I definitely expect to see a lot less VIPER. Thank you guys for watching my top takes on gameplay update 7.21D. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. You know, I'm going to be trying to do a ton of videos, as is. I love doing this for you guys. So if you want to see the channel grow, please do like and subscribe. And of course, comment down below what you think is the biggest change of this patch. There's a lot of notable ones. A lot of very impressive changes, specifically Sniper. I think for me, Sniper's the biggest one. That's, if I had to pick one, I would say Sniper. Definitely let me know down below what you guys think is the biggest change. I'm going to be happy to read them and probably comment on a few of them. So see you guys in the next episode. Peace.